righty, we'll get started. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because I know you're all joining us from different parts of the world, which we're always excited about. So everybody, welcome to yet another amazing Visa Solutions Healthcare webinar. Today is a special Christmas-themed webinar, as you could tell, where we get to explore the American holiday traditions. For those of you who are en route to come to the US, this is specially for you, and also gain insights on intersection of traditions, as we have an amazing person today who's going to share her story. And feel free to ask any questions. I'm your host today. I'm Maggie Kiplagat, and our guest today is excited to be with us as she shares her journey with us, and her name is Natalie. But before we get started, for those that are new today, I know some of us are new here, welcome. Visa Solutions Healthcare is proudly located in the Woodlands, Texas, in the United States. Visa Solutions Healthcare is known for expertise in premier placement, immigration, and relocation services that are specifically designed for healthcare professionals who are interested in going to the United States. Our mission has always been very clear. We advance healthcare professionals, especially nurses, with incredible job opportunities across the United States and amazing personal career growth. Our goal as a team is to create a brighter life, not just for the nurses. We are very big on ensuring that families thrive as well. So for today, join us in navigating the US holiday season with none other than our amazing operations manager, subject matter expert, having had the experience of relocating from one country to the United States. Please welcome Natalie Brioso. Welcome, Nat.
Thank you so much, Maggie, for this amazing introduction. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm excited to talk a little bit about my experience with the American culture and during Christmas time.
Thank you so much, Nat. So let's dive right into it. So before we get, I know we're already in the holiday spirit. We just want to know a little bit about your background and also what brought you to the United States.
Sure. So I actually moved to the United States when I was 12 years old, and I came from Brazil. And the reason why we moved from Brazil to the United States was actually for a better opportunity for our family. My dad at the time worked for a company that gave him the option to come work in the United States for a year or two. And he took that opportunity and he up and moved my mom, me, my little brother, and my dad. We all came here to feel what it would feel like to live in the United States and have better opportunities for our life.
Thank you so much, Nat. So for those, we have tons of nurses who are already in their process. They are looking forward to the opportunity to come to the United States. So what are some of the things that they should expect, right before they leave their home country and to the United States?
So I think, definitely try to enjoy those last moments in your country. Of course, there will be many opportunities for you guys to go back and to visit, but just enjoy those little things that matter to you, mostly while you're still in your home country. But get excited, do some research and get excited about what your life is going to be whenever you come to the United States. Whenever I moved, we had internet wasn't as big as it is today. Our phones didn't give us so much information as it does today. So I think, again, doing some research about what that transition is going to be like, but also enjoying those last moments at home. Visa Solutions Healthcare, we do have our amazing relocation team that does help with those sort of relocation questions and things that everybody needs to know whenever they're going to be moving here to the United States. So we do help a lot with that already. But there's always room for more learning and experiencing. And for me personally, I love Brazilian food. So I think that before I left Brazil, that's one of the things I did a lot, was just eat as much food as I could before I moved to the United States.
Awesome. So just quickly, Natalie, you mentioned something about the internet. I think the folks moving around this time are so lucky because they get to call their family members through WhatsApp, they can video chat. So the internet has really made the transition a little bit easier, connecting with family easily. Because I remember back in the days, I don't know if it was your situation where you had to get calling cards that were very expensive to reach folks at home. Yeah.
Yes, we used to have calling cards, and at the time when we moved here from Brazil, we didn't have a home phone yet. We were still kind of getting everything settled, so we would go to phone booths to use our phone cards to call back home. But nowadays that has gone away mostly, and we have Wi-Fi, and we have social media, and we have so many other sources that we can use to communicate with family back home. So I definitely think that transitioning and relocating from one country to another in today's age is much, much easier.
Awesome. So I'm gonna jump onto a question that I've always thought of asking. So what is the one movie that, as you were back in Brazil, that kind of shaped the United States concept or the idea for you? Like when you saw that, you're like, that's what I want when I go to the United States.
You know, there are so many, because the American culture is so spread out across the world, and you know, Hollywood, I think, is one of the main ones. But I think that, and I'm gonna kind of go to Christmas a little bit, but there is this one movie that I would watch every year during Christmas time, and it was Home Alone. And Home Alone 2, which is when, you know, Kevin gets left at home again by his family, and he kind of tours around New York City during Christmas time. And there was just a lot in that movie that I remember thinking, will I ever have the chance to see what that's like? And, you know, it was really showing what New York looked like. So even though whenever I moved from Brazil to the United States, I moved to Florida, I always knew that I was so close to New York City. I eventually made it to New York City, and I actually got to see all the places that Kevin went about, you know, in the city during Christmas time. So I literally just watched that movie a few days ago.
Wow. So for those that are preparing, make sure you watch Home Alone, and also put it on your list of places to visit.
Yes.
So let's dive into the Christmas spirit now. Let me ask a few questions about, okay, so when you are moving, what are some of the things that really make America different from your experience in terms of the holiday spirit, in terms of preparation, some of the things that they do and traditions that really make up the American tradition? Yeah.
So I think that the main difference between Brazil and the United States in regards to the holiday season is the weather. So in Brazil, we are in the Southern Hemisphere, and I feel like a lot of our candidates are also in that situation, that it's warmer in the December time. So in the United States, it's very cold, right? Christmas is winter. Christmas, you know, you build snowmans, you have a white Christmas and things like that. So I think that that's the main difference for me. And it is a big difference because in Brazil, Christmas time is not just 1 week that we kind of take off. It is our summer vacation. So people are out at the beach, they're traveling, they're sometimes even out of the country for vacation. So I think that that's the biggest difference for me in regards to Christmas time from Brazil and the United States is the weather. It's the feeling. The feeling is just completely different. But here in the United States, Christmas time is so much more than just Christmas. I think it's just it's the time of the year where you take time to really, you know, end the year with light, with happiness, with family. And Christmas time, and I like to say holiday time versus Christmas time, because we have a very extensive holiday season here in the United States. It actually starts right after Thanksgiving, which is another really big holiday that we celebrate here in the United States. And then once Thanksgiving is done, Christmas kind of starts, and people—
that's in November, right? Like
Thanksgiving is November. Thanksgiving is the last Thursday of November. And it is another holiday that we celebrate here in the United States. It's actually one of my very favorite holidays. And we celebrate Thanksgiving. We give thanks to everything that happened in the year. We give thanks to our family, to our loved ones. And usually on Thanksgiving, we have this big feast that includes a very traditional menu, which is a turkey, ham, and many different sides that you can complement your meats, I guess. So we spend a whole Thursday eating and eating, and
And it's a national holiday. Like
it's
nobody goes to
national
work, you're eating Thursday, Friday.
Exactly. It's a national holiday, and I feel like I'm not the only person who loves it because I just love food so much. But on Thanksgiving Day, there's a very famous Macy's Christmas parade. Well, actually, it's a Macy's Thanksgiving parade that initiates Christmas, but it finalizes Thanksgiving, and it usually happens in the mornings. So people wake up on Thanksgiving Day, they're still cooking, they're still enjoying each other's company, and then they watch Macy's Thanksgiving parade. So this picture here on the top left is actually from the Macy's Thanksgiving parade that happens in New York City, right? We already kind of talked about New York a little bit. And the very last person to walk down this parade is Santa Claus. So that that kind of initiates, you know, it's Christmas. It's time to go. It's time to decorate. It's time to get ourselves ready because Christmas is coming. So after Thanksgiving, I think that, you know, the entirety of the United States who likes to celebrate the holidays, they'll start decorating their houses, like this picture here on the top right. Lights everywhere, lights inside the house, lights outside the house.
Are there do people compete as to whose house has the best lights? Because now there's pressure.
So
Nurses, those that are going to be there in December, you better prepare. Get your lights ready.
That is a very funny question because I experienced that myself.
Really?
My husband, he's American and he loves Christmas. That's his favorite holiday. And even before Thanksgiving happened, he already was putting lights up in our house. So we have lights up in our house right now. And then he started noticing that the neighbors started putting houses as well, you know? So then he went back to the store and he bought more lights.
More lights.
And I'm like, Brandon, it's okay. Like, we're okay. So
fun competition over the holidays.
It's a friendly competition. I don't think it's bad because now if you drive down my street, every house looks like this house in the picture.
Amazing.
I don't think it may be competition, but I also think we're incentivizing our neighbors to get into the spirit. So yeah, that's a great question. It's funny that you mentioned that, but so it's very lit up, right? And then this bottom left picture is funny because it's a little bit different because it looks like it's a Christmas happening in Florida, which I did live. So Florida does tend to get warmer than New York and other northern states. You know, the United States is humongous. We have so many different states with so many different weather patterns. So in Florida, you can still celebrate Christmas, no problem. Of course, you may not see snow, but it's still lots of lights. It's still lots of fun. It's still lots of decoration, and in this the spirit is truly everywhere.
So Florida is like, I think it's like Ghana weather. It gets really warm and humid. I don't know, folks from Ghana, I don't know if you can relate with the weather. Is it that way at this time of the year? And also, like I said, nurses, get ready for those who are going to be in the US in December. You might want to get excited about buying some lights and putting up your lights with the family and diving into the American tradition, hopefully. So Natalie, like, what are some of the things or activities that you do around Christmas time that really symbolizes this is the time of the year where we call Christmas, or holidays?
So again, the first thing that we do to really start getting into the Christmas spirit, besides decorating our house with lots of lights, we have to get a Christmas tree. So that is also a symbolic decoration, symbolic item that really shows that you are getting into the Christmas spirit. So I think that getting that Christmas tree and decorating with ornaments and that is one tradition that my family and I have. We really like unique ornaments. That is actually a tip that I want to give to everybody listening, is that if you're coming whenever you guys get here to the United States, bring some ornaments from back home if you guys have, because it will make your house still, you know, you have a little piece of home. So We do have this family tradition that anytime me and my husband travel, or we actually ornaments as gifts. So we add it to our Christmas tree. So we make our family Christmas tree very personal to us, right? So the Christmas tree is something that we really like to decorate together as a family. I think if we go to the next slide, there are more pictures of some other things that I can kind of more.
Yeah. And Natalie, as we're going to the next slide, let me ask those that have joined us from whatever part of the region you're from, do you get a Christmas tree during Christmas time? And how do you go about decorating? Are you doing the Western style? Are you doing your home style? Like, what is it that you do around Christmas that symbolizes that it's the holiday, that it's the holiday time? Yeah, what are some of the things that you do? Share with us in the chat. Yeah. Natalie, go over the next slide. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So, sorry, is it okay if we go to the next slide and then come back to this one? Because now we're talking about traditions, and then we can talk about, So, again, some traditions and some other things that we do for Christmas, right? So, the top left picture there is a cocoa bar. That is something that is very common here in the United States because, again, it's cold in the main parts of the country. It gets cold during December. Again, Florida is that unique area that doesn't get too cold. But the chocolate bar is something that people like to do together, and they build out and they bring all these different sides and other things that you can do. You can do this in the office, or you can do this at home, or you can do this with friends, family. And it's really fun. You just get a hot cocoa and you can add all of these toppings. A very interesting fact here about chocolate during Christmas time is that we usually add peppermint to it. Those are those candy canes right there. So that candy cane peppermint kind of goes along with the cocoa during Christmas time. And then other traditions and other things is this gingerbread house on the top right corner picture.
I've seen that a lot in movies.
That is a big tradition. Again, right after Thanksgiving is ending and Christmas is starting, you are going to see tons of gingerbread houses being sold. You can buy and you can build with your family. So this is a huge Christmas tradition here in the United States. You just buy a kit. Usually they come in kits, and the kits have those graham cracker that are in the shape of a house, and it comes with this icing that you use to glue your house together. And then it comes with jelly beans as well, so you can decorate it and things like that. The kids love it. The kids love this activity, and it's really fun to do it with your family. And sometimes people eat it afterwards. I don't know, it's a lot of hand touching for me, but sometimes at night you see the kids sneaking into the kitchen, eating the gingerbread.
So Visa Solutions nurses, don't say we didn't give you the tricks and tips about Christmas to-dos, because we want you to be able to have American conversations once you arrive. So don't say that we didn't share with you.
If you guys are working shifts during Christmas time and you're getting kids come because they have stomach bugs, it may be because they were building a gingerbread house.
Everybody was building it and eating it at the same time. So some of them are saying that, yes, a lot of them, they do Christmas trees. They love the lights. Somebody says flowers, like lots of flowers. And everybody's talking about visiting their parents. In Kenya, they're saying that they do decorate with fruits and sweets and chocolates and biscuits on a tree. Explain further.
That is really actually, and, these traditions again that you guys have back home. I am a big tradition person, and I have my own traditions that I brought from Brazil that I still celebrate here in the United States, and it keeps it warmer in my house to make sure that I'm celebrating my culture as well as my husband's culture. We do have a daughter, so we kind of bring both of those cultures together because she's being raised here, even though I was not raised in the United States. She's being raised in the American culture, and you know, I try to bring a little bit of what I've done in Brazil here. So I love seeing these comments in the chat, all of the
Yes.
things that you guys do back home, because
Yeah.
you can always bring. I love the comment about decorating the Christmas tree with fruits and cookies and things like that. You know, and it may
Yeah.
be something that, say, for example, when you guys are in the United States, you're doing that,
Mhm.
and you have a
Mhm.
friend or a neighbor that come over to your house and see your tree is unique and it's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
You know, also bringing your culture to other people around you here in the United States. So
Yeah. I know, that's beautiful. And Nyla, you said something about your daughter, and I
yes.
wanted to ask, so there's so many nurses who are parents who are going to be moving with their children over to the US. And I'm curious to learn, how do the parents manage the pressure? Because I normally see kids tend to adopt the new environment really fast. And
Yeah.
so they start asking questions about the Santa Claus and this and that. And then parents have this pressure to start buying gifts and all those things. How do parents manage that pressure as they move with their families over to the US?
So we try to keep Christmas very special in our family. We try to make sure that even though the holidays can be overwhelming, there's a lot going on, we try to keep our family together. I see a lot of comments here in the chat about, you know, traveling to be with family and really connecting with with your family, and that's how I am. So this is my daughter here in these pictures. This is Luna. I try to create her Christmas, or I try to make her Christmas be as family oriented as possible and create those traditions with her in mind. There's so much to do during Christmas time, so many parties, so many events that you can attend, but I really try to be mindful of what she likes and what are the things I can incorporate that makes it easy for our family to manage. And sometimes it is just hanging out at home and making cookies and just being on our own, right? Versus having to do all these activities and things that are out there that I need to do. So that's a great point, Maggie. It can be very overwhelming, but we try to keep our traditions very homey versus having to go out and do all the things that are surrounded by us.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one thing that you also had shared with me before is that, you know, having people that you know also helps, especially with children. You, as a young kid at 12 years old, when you moved to the US, you had other Brazilians around you. And so it kind of made your transition easier, even if you weren't speaking clear English. They helped you with the transition. So it's good to have people. Would you say it's helpful, but it's not necessary? What would you say? Yeah.
Well, so that's a great point, because here in the United States, we're a melting pot, right? The pipeline that we have of nurses in Visa Solutions Healthcare right now is very diverse. We have people from all across the world, but here in the United States, we also have people from all across the world. So having a support system that knows what it's like to be from wherever country you are from does help. Whenever I moved here from Brazil at the age of 12, I moved to Florida, and Florida had tons of Brazilians. So I adjusted easier to being away from Brazil because I had that support system that also knew what it felt like to move from Brazil, besides just having my family and my parents, right? So that transition was very, very easy for me, to be honest with you. So I highly recommend that everybody that's moving here from the, whatever country, to find those channels, to find those groups. You know, social media is a great way to start looking, but to find those groups about of people that have been where you've been. That's gonna help any transition and relocation.
Yeah. And I know one of the things that I'm really proud of about our relocation team, that's the first question they ask. They ask, do you know people around this area? And then they always try to find your interests as well. And they connect you with a buddy or support system in the community that you're in, so that it makes your relocation adjustment easier. So whether you know people in a community where a nurse is going to work or where you're placed, still be assured that you're going to be in very, very good hands, because by the time you start your immigration process, our team will be in your business in a good way, trying to find out how do we best support you, and especially with your family, so that you can have that easy transition into the United States, and just make sure that we hold your hand until everything is settled. And then at some point you can just tell us, I'm good, thank you, I'm good to go. And so that's one thing, Natalie, that you said that I'm really, really happy about in terms of our process, where we have that in place, because transition for just not nurses, but their families is really, really, really important. So nurses, anybody in our chat, if you have any questions, Natalie is reading your questions, please send them over. And then we can answer a few questions. And as we are doing that, Nat, are there any tricks that you can share with us regarding maybe the weather, the holiday fashion, holiday season? Like, what are some of the things that nurses should be ready for during this season?
Yeah, so if you guys are planning on doing anything major for the holidays, we have 2 locations here in the United States that I highly recommend that you guys go to if you ever feel like it. And the first one is New York City. New York City is extremely magical during the holidays. I was very lucky to have been there a couple of times, and it does get really, really cold. So right here, thank you. This slide right here, the first pictures on the left here, that is what New York City looks like during the holidays, and it is the most beautiful experience ever. This was a bucket list item for me, and I was very lucky to have gone. And if you think Christmas in the United States, I think either New York City and Disney World, which I'll talk about here in a second. But so in New York City, it gets really cold. Sometimes you get snow even. So make sure you guys bundle up whenever you're going to the north. Truly anywhere in the United States during the winter time, you want to bundle up. You want to get some boots, some nice coats and jackets. But this picture here, these 2 pictures on the left hand side, that is the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. That is a very popular, famous touristic destination for Christmas in the United States. There is a whole party that New York hosts on December 1st to light up the tree. And right in front of this tree, there is an ice skating rink, which is also very famous. You guys might have seen this in movies. I feel like there's a lot of movies that mention this part in the country. But New York is just extremely magical during Christmas time. So definitely bundle up if you guys are going there, because it's going to be very cold.
Very cold.
And then on the bottom right here where you see Mickey and Minnie, that is Orlando, Florida. So it is also another very magical place to go during Christmas time. It's definitely warmer. This is Orlando, Florida. So you don't need as many coats and jackets as you would need if you were in New York. Probably still like something comfy, but it is extremely magical. It's a place that you can take your kids, your family. You can take anybody. You can go by yourself. Disney World is extremely magical during Christmas time. They decorate the entire park, and they actually have fake snow coming down. If it ever snows in Florida, I don't know. That's a different conversation. But they do try to bring that touristy feel to Orlando. But these are my favorite places to go to, and it symbolizes, Maggie, to your question, the 2 different weather patterns that you can see in the United States whenever you're celebrating Christmas.
For sure. So we have nurses going to New York. So, hey, you know where to visit. Those that are going to Florida, you know where to visit. So Nat, tell us about Texas. That's in the middle. And that's where you are. How do you celebrate there?
Oh, so I love Texas. I actually we moved. I moved from Brazil to Florida, and then in 2016 I moved from Florida to Texas. So I've been here for a little while now. I feel like I consider Texas home. I love it here. The weather is very nice because we are right in the middle. Okay.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
last year, I was actually reading on the news, we had one of the warmest Christmas days ever. It was about
Wow.
85 Fahrenheit. Sorry, that's going to be
Wow.
confusing because I know a lot of people in the chat are probably doing Celsius,
Mhm, mhm,
which
mhm.
that is so funny because I was
Yeah.
born and raised with Celsius, right? In Brazil, it's Celsius. And then I moved
Yeah.
over to the United States and now I can only think Fahrenheit. So you guys may change that too when you get here to the United States. Because nobody here really talks in Celsius. They talk in
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So last year our Christmas was really warm, but this year they
Mhm,
were thinking it's gonna be cooler,
mhm,
but not New
mhm,
York cold, right?
mm,
We're gonna be probably 60s,
mhm,
50s Fahrenheit.
mhm,
So it's
mhm,
comfortable, but it's cold
mhm,
enough to feel like
mhm.
Christmas. It's not
Yeah.
Florida warm, but Texas is
Mhm,
amazing. We have it's very decorated in here. I'm about 3 hours away from our main office in
mhm,
the Woodlands. So I'm still a little bit cooler than they are down there because they're closer to the tropics, so it's a little bit warmer in Houston.
mhm,
But
mhm.
Texas is a great place to live, to
Yeah.
celebrate all the
Mhm,
holidays. Texas
yeah.
is, we call it here in the United States Southern hospitality because we are a Southern state. So
Mhm,
people here are extremely nice, grateful. It's
mhm.
it's it's a beautiful state to live in.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing about the United States is that no matter where you are, it's so easy to get to another state. So
Mhm,
I have family in New York. So if I ever want to go visit them, that's an easy flight, 2 hour
yeah.
and a half flight to New York. If I
Mhm,
ever want to spend Christmas in
yeah.
Florida, that's also another two
Mhm,
and a half hour flight to Florida.
mhm,
So it's very easy to get around here
mhm.
in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And Nat, I think I expected this question from one of the nurses. Thank you so much for that, by the way. So one of the nurses is asking, is there any special holiday shift system? Because as you know, nurses work consistently. Do you know of nurses' experience during the holidays? Like how do they schedule them and things like that? Yeah.
So yeah, one thing I do know about, you know, caregivers working
Yeah.
during Christmas time is the fact that
Mhm.
the hospitals and the facilities
Yes.
that you guys
Yeah.
come to are
Yeah.
very mindful in making
Yes.
sure that everybody who's working during the holidays are
Mhm.
enjoying themselves in the
Yeah.
facility.
Yes.
So shifts will depend based on you know, how long you've been in the hospital, what kind of nurse you are, and things like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it will really depend on a as case scenario, right? So it
Yeah.
depends on the nurse, it depends on the
Mhm.
hospital, it depends on
Mhm.
your shifts.
Yeah.
But you know, I know for a fact that the facilities definitely make it very special in the facility. So if you are a nurse that will have
Mhm.
to work during the
Mhm.
holidays, you will still
Yeah.
experience Christmas and you still experience the holidays while you're working.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's hard to say who gets off or who doesn't get off. That is a per
Yeah.
hospital, per nurse
Mm.
basis.
Yeah. And is it like standard for most hospitals, of course, to have shift differentials during holidays and things like that? Yeah.
Yes, yes. So holidays, the shift differentials
Yeah.
are happening. And
Mhm. Mhm.
not only holidays, but
Yeah.
the overnight,
Overtime. Yeah.
overtime, and
Mhm.
during the weekend.
Right. And that's the beauty of Visa Solutions direct placement model
Yes.
because a nurse gets to take home their money, their well-earned money during their regular shifts, during the holidays and all. It comes directly to them. So that's why we are very proud of our recruitment model.
Yeah.
There's somebody that asked about, oh, congratulations to the nurse that's going to New York.
I
Yeah.
know you
Yeah,
can
get ready with
yes,
your
that is
yeah.
great. You can totally, that's an easy
Yeah.
train ride to New York
Yes.
City.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be in New York City
Yeah.
on the December 25th to experience the
Mm-hmm.
Christmas magic in New York City. New York City
Mm-hmm.
starts decorating December 1st, right after
Mm-hmm.
the Thanksgiving parade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you're moving to New York,
Yeah.
congratulations, you'll be able to just
Yeah.
stop by New York City and
Yeah, for sure.
it's a
George, I see
view.
your message. Yeah, I know, exciting. I see your message that somehow you're moving slow, I recognize you. Just go ahead and send us an email. Send me an email, whatever you are, your country manager, and we'll reach out to you and try to figure out what's holding you back. I think there was another question about so I see a lot of folks saying that the holidays for them is visiting family, but now you'll be in the United States. How can they still make that family kind of feel while they're there? Because here in Africa, I can tell you, all we do is, it's like Thanksgiving, really. Christmas and Thanksgiving is one. That's when family gets together. Sorry to say for the vegetarian, a lot of slaughtering happens in some places. And we enjoy goat and cows and all these things, and families get together. It's like, imagine like at Thanksgiving times 2. And our families are so large, some, and so how do they make that environment of family while they're there? And how did you do it, Natalie?
So I moved here with my close family. So it's just me, my dad, my mom, and my brother. And we made it work because, we understood the challenges of moving away from family, but we also, when you get here to the United States, it's very fast that you realize that your life has changed. Okay. So I did miss my family a lot in Brazil, and Lloyd's question, or George, I think it was Lloyd's question here about how soon can I go back to my country to visit my family, because you guys are going to start missing each other very soon. So the guidelines about leaving to go back home to go visit your family really depends on your employer. So once you guys arrive to the United States, you do have your green card, right? That is part of what Solutions Healthcare does. But taking time off to go back home, to travel and to really leave an extensive period of time, that is a question that you guys will handle with your employer. But in regards to your immigration status, you are free because you do have that green card. So again, that is up to your employer. But for us, missing our family and feeling a little bit lonely in the beginning was a true feeling, Maggie. But here in the United States and seeing all the opportunities that our family was having really was above it all.
And it made it worth it.
It made it worth it. And the holiday season really helps because you get to experience something new. I think that that's something that also really helped our family's transition, is that we were willing to make a change, right? We weren't leaving with a string attached. We all left with freedom, right? We all left understanding that what we were doing and the decision we were making was for the better of our life. And that is one thing we tell our nurses and everybody willing to join our program a lot, is that we like commitment, right? We want commitment from the nurses because we really want to help you guys achieve your American dream goals. So if you have too many strings attached, it will be difficult. But just think about it like it's a different opportunity. It's a change in our lives. So even though you will miss your family, and you will wish that you could spend holidays, birthdays, important dates with them back at home, you are something bigger and better for your life.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you're saying that, because we really hone in on that conversation with the nurses, because we are keen on nurses moving with their families. It's a big deal, so we don't take it lightly. That's why we really dig into the reasons why. Is your family ready? If you're married, is your spouse ready? So those are really, really conversations that we take very serious, because we know it's not easy to transition over. And then another thing that I also want to say is that family helps you be a stronger person as a nurse when you're working. So we care about this because you'll do a better job at your place of employment if you're okay as a person. So it's really important that we get to know you, we get to know what makes you happy, what makes you stable, so that we can be in a position to provide you with the support that you need. And another thing, like you said, the green card. Green card gives you the opportunity to travel during your 3-year contractual agreement with your employer. The best thing that you said is like talk to your employer, plan your holidays, and the best thing, you'll be making really good money.
Yes.
So buying a ticket will not be a problem to come home and visit. It's just a matter of planning financially, being financially savvy, and at the same time planning it with your employer. So I really, really appreciate that. So nurses, you're in good hands with us. Let me see if there's another question, Nat, for you.
Yes, I do.
Going to Washington.
That's the
Any
one.
advice on Washington?
So I have never been to Washington. I have wanted to, and please don't make fun of me, but Washington is where that movie Twilight is from.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, so Washington is beautiful. I have always wanted to go there. I can't believe I still haven't. Washington is definitely colder during this time of the year.
Yeah.
Christmas spirit is
cold.
Very big there as well. Lots of lights, lots of entertainment. You know, so, and I'm guessing here we're talking about Washington State, and the only reason is because I know we have jobs in Washington State. So honestly, I think that was you're gonna be just fine. Washington State is a beautiful, beautiful place. So congratulations again. That's a huge achievement.
He or she will get to make snowmans and play in the snow.
Yes. Yeah, it may not snow in there. Washington, it rains a lot there. Again, these are the things I know because I have learned about Washington, but Washington has big mountains right by it because of Canada. So sometimes the snow doesn't get to Washington itself. It does snow a little bit, but it's mostly rainy. But anyway, congratulations.
Yes. So I don't see any other questions. I see a nurse saying that they're interested in our opportunity. Please click on the Visa Solutions Healthcare link. We have it on the screen right now. For those that are interested in joining, we request that you click on our website and you'll see the requirements there. Feel free to share your CV. We'll reach out to you and guide you accordingly. We have a second person going to Washington State. Awesome. Congratulations, nurses. Yeah, go ahead, Natalie.
There are other questions on the Zoom chat. So one of them was, does the cost of living increase or decrease during the season? That's a great question.
Good question.
So a lot of the times, again, it's based on your U.S. employer, right? So your U.S. employer will make those decisions depending on where you are, depending on your shifts and things like that. But one thing that it is common in the United States during Christmas time is that companies usually provide, you know, bonuses and things like that, or incentives for the end of the year. But this is not only for the nurses. So if you guys are moving here to the United States with your spouse, sometimes your spouse will also get those things based on their work or whatever they're going to be doing. So definitely not a decrease, but sometimes an increase may happen. Again, it all depends on your U.S. employer. Are Christians do overnight prayers night before Christmas or night before New Year's? I love this question because in Brazil, I was born and raised Catholic. And one of the different traditions in Brazil versus the United States is that in Brazil, we would always go to mass, to church for Christmas, on Christmas Eve before Christmas dinner. So we would, you know, pray and have those traditions there. So here in the United States, because we're such a diverse country, you can do whatever you want. If you want to find a church nearby where you feel like you want to go to and have those, you know, religious traditions. It's not something that is throughout the entire country. It's more a per household decision. So there are churches across the entire country depending on your religion. So there isn't like a set answer for that because everybody kind of just does their own thing.
Yeah. And somebody asked, so I'm moving with my spouse. How long will they take for them to get employment? I would recommend start looking now. You know, if you know you're moving together right now, what would you say?
So I agree with you, Maggie. It all depends on when you're expected to arrive here in the United States. But you know, just start working on getting that resume ready. start doing
Yes.
research,
Yeah.
start learning about companies within your area that are hiring for whatever your spouse is looking for. So
Yep.
just tons of research. You know, sometimes there's companies around where you guys are moving that have certain requirements for a specific position. So I will just start doing research and things like that. It really depends. Sometimes it may be super fast, and sometimes it may take a little bit longer than expected, but it really depends on what that job is and the qualifications and the jobs available in the area.
Yeah. And you're so right. If it's fast, just be honest and mention that you're transitioning over and share the details, and it should be okay. Okay, good question, Nat. In the case where the spouse is not a nurse, I think we're out of the Christmas. We're already starting to address questions, and I think we're almost running out of time. I think this is the last question for us today. So I've seen a few folks saying that they feel stuck and they feel like things are not moving. Please send an email to myself, Natalie, or just go to our website, click on help, and then send your question to us, and we'll see how we can assist you. As you know, we have tons and tons of applications that are coming through. Please bear with us. If we're taking longer to respond to you, please bear with us. But if you're on this call and you feel like you need support, please email us. And if you're in Ghana, you're in Kenya, you're in South Africa, you're in the Philippines, we have contacts there in Europe, all through the globe, really, where we can give you support. So just reach out to the right person. Alternative, just click on our website, mention your region, and then we'll be able to help you. So please don't feel stuck. I know you're hearing about nurses that are going to different places. You can be one of them too, and we're also here to support you. So please, we're sorry that you're feeling a little bit stuck. So Nat, one last question for you as we close this exciting conversation, which I really don't want it to end. So in the case where there's a spouse is not a nurse, can she get a job in the US?
Absolutely. They'll be able to get a job, because if you're coming with our program, right, if the spouse is going through the same steps, they will also have a green card. So the green card does allow for employment here in the United States. So absolutely, the nurse or the spouse that is not a nurse can still get a job. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So start doing your research early.
Yes.
Alrighty. So thank you so much, Nat. Do you have anything else? One last thing you want to tell everybody before we close out?
No, thank you so much for inviting me to do this webinar. It's something I'm very happy to talk about, you know, traditions and everything in regards to the holidays. Congratulations to all of those nurses that are already in the process, that already have a US employer. I hope that this webinar allowed you guys to get a little bit more insight on what it's like to live the holidays here in the United States. And for all of those that still haven't joined our program, please feel free to reach out, and you know, hopefully we'll see you here soon.
Yes, we'll see you as a familiar name like others. Alrighty, thank you so much, Nat, for sharing your story, your experience. Really, really appreciate it. Again, folks, you can reach us at visasolutionshealthcare.com. Have a happy holiday. For those that are preparing for NCLEX, we know you. I see some of your names in December and January. We wish you all the best wherever you're going to take your test. And for everybody else, we'll continue to cherish our tradition wherever we are in the world. And thank you so much for joining us today. And let's create new memories when we go to the US. All righty, everyone. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us.